one of the ways, I guess, to stop a lot of the violence happening, not only in Chicago, but across the country, is I have issues with the police, you know what I mean, like many of us, because you see everything going on. And it's not even just the police. To me, they're part of the system. You know, they're just a tool of systemic racism. And so because we always had this discussion about like good cops and bad cops. And it's like, yeah, okay, you're a good cop in a bad system. So it's like, can you really be a good cop? You know what I mean? Because the system is bad. So we obviously need police reform. You know, you look at everything that's happening in the news. You know, they can shoot a kid 20 times and get off and get paid for it. And like, it's sad and it's disappointing to see that we haven't come as far as I guess we thought we have, you know, with racial issues. I'm a big supporter of like, you know, Black Lives Matter, and I totally against people who try to like curve the conversation to say all lives matter. It's like, obviously all lives matter. We know that, you know what I mean? But these are the lives that are getting taken for granted. So let's put the focus here. I just think people who turn their eye to it, in a sense, are just as bad as the racists. You know what I mean? To me, it's a racist perspective to try to like always include yourself in the problem. I don't know the solutions. I personally think the solutions are like getting economic power, because if we notice from the example of University of Missouri, the students stood up and protested and said the football team said they were not going to play any more games or take the field until the president resigned because of racial issues on campus that he wasn't addressing. If anybody knows, the football team makes the university so much money. You know what I mean? Like a lot of their money comes from sports. So if you affect their pockets, they're gonna act, because it's like, well, we can't afford to do this. We gotta address these issues. And so I think that's really the thing that's gonna help anything. If we're gonna really make change, it's gonna have to hit their pockets. You know what I mean? So some kind of way, coming up with a plan we gotta come up with some kind of way to affect the spending, because we have so much spending power that we don't realize how that power can lead into other areas. And so I think that's really one of the solutions, if we could come up with some kind of way to do it. You know, I think about myself growing up. I had a pretty good family background to like instill certain things in me and direct me and guide me. Everybody doesn't have that. And if I didn't have that, I know for a fact I would be out on the streets. And in those streets, all you have is the basketball court and the liquor store. Like, you don't have any amenities. And I always say this because when I went to college, it was the first time I realized, like, damn, there's so many other things. There's a state-of-the-art library. There's like student health care. There's art centers. There's the rec center. I can learn to play violin. I can take a chess club. Like, it's so many options. It sparked interest I didn't even know I had. And so these kids in these streets in the ghetto, you know, they on the street, and what are their options? If you can't play basketball, what are you gonna do? You're gonna find trouble. And everybody's not gonna make the NBA, obviously. So like, even the ones that can play basketball, you're gonna lead into trouble. So I think the kids need options, first of all. The fact that there's not one bookstore on the south side of Chicago, you know what I mean? It's crazy. That we have like used bookstores and like alternative stores, but there's no Barnes and Noble, there's no Borders, there's no like real bookstore. And it's like, that's ridiculous, you know what I mean? Like, we have to demand a different standard for our neighborhoods. And I think that comes from a lot of people. They get mad at like Obama, or they think some celebrity's gonna come save them. And I don't think it works like that. I think it starts with who actually can change. Obama can't worry about your neighborhood. He's worried about the world. You know what I mean? Like, he got a lot of problems, a lot of things to solve. And I'm not saying he's perfect. If I want my block fixed, I'm not gonna call Obama. I'm gonna call my alderman. I'm gonna call the council members. I feel like we place so much importance on voting for the president when we should place that importance on voting for like the local community, because those are people that are gonna actually have your best interest at heart. You know what I mean? So if we can start voting people in that like actually care, like, okay, look, this neighborhood, I'm tired of seeing it look dilapidated. I'm tired of seeing everything boarded up. We need to clean it up. Let's get a rec center here. Let's get something for the children to actually participate in. And I think that would go a long way. You know, I mean, I think people overlook the fact that there are no options, really. They just think it's bad parenting, and maybe it is, but I don't think us waiting for bad parents to become good is gonna solve anything. You know, I think we have to be proactive. Think, okay, they're gonna be bad parents forever. So let's try to change the cycle let's put some classes in the hood for financial literacy, some classes for how to guide your child a little better. Like, who knows how to be a parent? You're not taught that, it's on the fly. So if you already, especially if you're a kid, 16, 17-year-old parent, what do you know?
And I knew as much as they hate it now, it'll make sense to them later. My whole philosophy just in life is to just be who you are. And I could not live my life not pursuing music, because then I would not be who I am.
It's deeper than racism. Like, some people have self-hate that's just so, to the point where they try to destroy anything around them, you know what I mean? And it's really self-destruction. It's a disease for sure.
Knowing that a lot of things will come that may affect you, he always was like, kind of peel your ears back and do you. Don't be affected by what's going on. Just stay focused, tunnel vision.
A black man with power doesn't feel like he can wield and control that power. So he needs to go get him a white head so he can become a worker again. Because that's what we're comfortable with being.